on here live to chat to Rebecca O'Reilly this morning. Rebecca and myself used to teach in the same studio in Maynooth before I moved to Roscommon, and I am super excited for her to join us here. Rebecca is a postnatal PT, a yoga teacher, and a breastfeeding counsellor with Quidju, as well as a mum. Oh, here she is. Hey.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me okay? These
I
headphones can be hit and miss, so
can hear you good. How are you today?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I was just introducing you ever so slightly. So do you want to introduce yourself? Uh,
Yeah, sure. So I'm Rebecca. I am a postnatal personal trainer or fitness specialist. I am a yoga teacher and a mother of three kids aged 5, 7, and 11. Yeah.
mm.
So,
11-year-old over here too in this house. I'm like,
yeah.
it's crazy to have an 11-year-old.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's mad. So, yeah, did you introduce yourself?
I didn't actually know. Uh, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Nicole. I'm a mum as well, and same as Becca, my daughter is 11, and yeah, it feels like that crazy in between stage of like being a baby, but a preteen. It's an interesting one. I'm
Yeah.
also a yoga teacher, specializing in pregnancy and postnatal, and I'm a birth and postpartum doula as well. So very much in the sphere of prenatal care and support. And I suppose that's what we're here to have a little chat about this morning, is about that postnatal journey, and I suppose helping people get familiar with different supports that are available to them. I think it's, or what I hear a lot anyway, is it's just like, it feels like pregnancy, like, yes, you have support, but like once you have your baby, it's like your 6 week check and you're kind of left to find everything else yourself. And
Yeah.
that can be really overwhelming, no matter what your birth experience was and how you're settling in with like this, building this new relationship with your baby. But you're left to be like, okay, like, how do I support myself here? Do I have to go
Hmm.
seek it? Like, it's, yeah, it can be quite an overwhelming whirlwind. What was your experience postpartum? Or
Um, so
you're
yeah,
like,
definitely. I think definitely there's this kind of feeling that the 6 week check is where you're given this green light of like, okay, you're meant to be back to normal, whatever that is, or like you're able to go back to doing what you were doing before, let's say if you movement and things like that. And I think for many of us, it's just not the case that you're feeling any way that resembles your former self at 6 weeks. Um, I think all of my postpartum experiences were really different, for a few different reasons. I was trying to think about this morning when just getting ready for this call, and you're not the same person every time you have a baby. You're a different person. So, like your third baby versus your first baby, it's such a different experience, and it can be harder or easier. Like it doesn't even,
Mhm.
like for me, the third time was definitely the hardest for a number of reasons, and the first time was hard for different reasons,
Mhm.
but also good as well. There was like, it's just, yeah, it's just a very, there's such a wide range of experiences, and I think you discover things, um, you know where to go for help a bit more on
Mhm.
subsequent pregnancies. Well, at least that's what I found.
Yeah.
I knew who to ask for. I knew the kind of support I needed more, and I knew who to ask for it. I think that was the big difference between first and third.
Yeah, and that's like really interesting, because it's like, it's not that like if you get pregnant more than once that each time you have a baby it gets easier. It doesn't necessarily get easier, become an easier experience. But you're a bit more resourced, as you said there, that you're like, okay, I
Mm.
actually know this time where to look for support if I
Mm-hmm.
need it, where maybe the first time you were like, you didn't know the support maybe that you needed. And I do
Yeah.
kind of see that, especially with people that book me as a postnatal doula, that it's like a lot of the time, some people are first baby, they're like on it, they want all the support lined up, and other people are like second, third baby, and they're like, okay, I know what I didn't have the first time and what
Mm.
I 100% want to have in place for my postpartum this time to support my recovery, to actually just help me settle a bit more. And like, yeah, that realization of being like, okay, like I need support. I can't do this all alone. And they
Yeah.
know where to look for it,
Yeah.
which is different.
Yeah. You do have that perspective of like realizing certain things were harder than maybe they should have been or could have been. It was just easier, you know, you just realize with hindsight, that's the word I'm looking for, what you needed. So, and I think like I didn't even know about doulas when I had Eve 11 years ago. Like, did you know what a doula was before you became a doula? Like,
Never heard of a doula until a couple of
yeah.
years ago. And that was only like that came to me like finding out what a doula was from I suppose like through yoga, and then like I did the Red Alchemy, the menstrual cycle awareness training with Kitty McGuire, and I suppose that connection with the menstrual cycle and the womb and learning about kind of living and honoring the cycles that we go through as women, that kind of led me down the path of, I suppose, opening my eyes to different things, such as where I suppose that led to looking at becoming a pregnancy yoga teacher. And
Mm,
that kind of just kind of led into then being like, oh, a doula, oh, this is really interesting. I've never heard of this. And then my mind started to open up from learning about the menstrual cycle to then learning about birth and being like, whoa, like there's
yeah.
so much I had absolutely no clue of when I gave birth to Ava. And like that was only like maybe 4 or 5 years ago that like maybe I heard of the term doula. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that long ago, and I still see people that like don't have any idea what a doula is, and it's becoming definitely more known in Ireland, but
Yeah.
still it's kind of a term people don't like fully grasp or fully kind of get, or even
Yeah.
like believe that they deserve to have that support,
Yeah.
because they don't see other people doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely. Like, yeah, I don't know if 11 years ago, if I'd known about a doula or if they had been available, would I have thought, oh, I deserve that as well? So
yeah.
that's really, yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, same,
Um,
because like it makes me think of like when I was pregnant with Ava, like I had never really seen anybody breastfeeding,
mm,
and like I didn't have anybody around me that breastfed. I just remember being at like a friend's party when maybe I was in primary school, and her auntie was breastfeeding. She was like, "Oh, don't look at her! Like, don't look at her!" Like she was like, "Oh, the
so
shame."
quite taboo. Yeah. Yeah.
What's happening? And like I'd
Yeah.
never seen that until I moved to Australia, and I was working in a nail salon, and I was like doing people's pedicure, and they were like feeding their babies, and I was like, oh, like I've never seen this in Ireland. And
Yeah.
then I became pregnant and was like, okay, like same thing. It's like, do I
Do I want to do
breastfeed?
this?
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
do I want to do
Yeah.
this? And same thing, but I've not seen other people feeding before. So I was like, oh, what's this going to be like for me? Or do I have to hide it? And I feel like that can be the same for people like seeking support. It's like, I've not seen other people being supported,
Yeah.
be it a doula or any other sort of way. It's like, so
Hmm.
can I ask for that? Can I
Yeah.
have that support?
Yeah. I think that is a huge thing as well. Like I think I didn't mention it in the beginning, so I'm a Quizu breastfeeding counselor as well. And I think a huge part of what we do is well, what we do as counselors is we're volunteers and we offer information, evidence-based information for parents on their feeding journeys, whatever that looks like. So whether you're exclusively breastfeeding or formula feeding, combination feeding, anything at all. And I think we love to see families approach us when in pregnancy because we can be like, okay, you know where we are now.
Yeah,
Because it's not necessarily going to be like breastfeeding is a skill.
yeah,
Mother and baby, like that dyad, that pair have to learn how to do it together. And it's really common to run into obstacles, but it's also they're often very you can overcome them with just a bit of support. I mean, you might just need a tiny bit of support, and that'll steer you in the right direction. But I definitely think it's knowing that you can approach us and you can ring us, and we're entirely free. Like there's nothing, and you can contact us as often as you like,
Yeah.
And we run groups all over the country. There's different branches. They don't go by county. They can go by like a big county might have a few branches.
Yeah.
Um, so I think knowing where we are and that we are, we're a parent support charity. So we are another side of the charity is antenatal education and also parent-to-parent support, which you are the parent-to-parent supporter.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Such an amazing support like to have available, and it's again like I'm always telling people to go like during pregnancy, and I'm like,
mm,
because again you're like having conversations with people and they're like, I'd like to breastfeed, or I'm like interested to learn more and see if that's something maybe I want to like breast and bottle feed, or they're kind of unsure of what their path could look like. And I'm like, here's your closest like Quidgy branch, like go. Like they're always happy to see somebody like during pregnancy come, and then you get to see other people feeding and other people
yeah,
with different journeys and going through the joys of it and the hard parts of it, and like kind
yeah,
of learning together. And it's such like
yeah,
an amazing support that it is volunteer led, and
yeah,
it's amazing like that commitment, I suppose, as well, that like you've had to learning, and to be able to support people on a volunteer basis is
yeah,
it's amazing. But it's
yeah,
such a great support. Like my journey with that was like I never went to any support, and I had like the fear of going to it because I
yeah,
had like this preconception of like, oh, like they're very, very, very like breastfeeding this
yeah.
way and nothing else. Like you
Nothing
have to do
else.
it this
Yeah,
way, and you can't like do anything else. And it's
yeah,
like very pro breastfeeding. Anything else is frowned at. And this is what I heard. So I never went to support, where I could have done with that, because like I was by myself at Ava most of the time, and it
yeah,
was like I didn't have like, of course I had family and friends, but like it was different. I didn't have anyone around me that had breastfed before to have those conversations with. Like I just had a
yeah,
book that my mum's neighbor gave her for me to read. That was like my only support.
yeah.
But I think even just having like tea and chats with other
The
parents
community aspect of it
and community
is
would have been
huge.
so beneficial. And like since
Yeah,
then being really like, oh, it's those like coaching meetings or the Lillesh League meetings, like they're not like that. Like it is like
yeah,
wherever you're at in your journey.
yeah.
Um,
And I think as well, there's this kind of perception that like if we as counselors, oh, we found it easy and
mm,
there was no issues at all, and it just could not be further from the truth. Like I think a lot of us got into counselling because we had a really hard time breastfeeding, or we ran into a lot of obstacles, and we were supported by breastfeeding counsellors and lactation consultants and doulas, and that community aspect that makes you want to support others because you want to give back what you got and you want to be what you needed, I guess,
yeah.
in postpartum. So
I think that's a lot of it, isn't it? Like for how people got onto like any sphere of supporting from pregnancy to birth postpartum, it's usually from our own experiences that kind of led us down that path of being like, this is the
yeah,
support I would have wanted, or like I hope other people have the opportunity to have, because that wasn't around on my journey, or it's not
yeah,
something that I availed of, but like could have done with. And that happens all the time. It's
yeah,
quite similar. Like it's just like, oh, like people should know this information or have this
yeah,
support, like, and you just want to be able to provide that to the best
yeah,
of people's our capacity.
yeah, 100%. I don't think I've met anyone in this field who hasn't got into it for those reasons. Like in
Yeah,
this general postnatal area, they've all got in they're all working or volunteering in this area because of those reasons. So it's
yeah,
good.
yeah, definitely most
Yeah.
people. And in regards to like the postnatal strength side of it,
Mm.
like what I suppose was your journey with that? Like, did you go back to like a movement practice, the yoga, or like strength training, anything after you had your babies, or
Yeah.
what led you into that stage of
God.
support?
So I would have like when I was before I had Eve, so before my first baby, I would have been really into running. I was like
Mm.
really like enjoying it, and I hadn't really been very active in my 20s until I got a bad knee injury, and then after that, I kind of made a promise to myself I would do more, because I was just not able to do anything for months. And then, so I was really into running, had Eve, went back running really like basically after that GP visit where they say, oh, you're fine now.
Mhm.
I went back running and I was like, this doesn't feel right. But yeah, I like just soldiered on. I had no idea. I didn't know what a pelvic floor physiotherapist was back
Mhm.
then. And then before I had my second baby, I was doing a lot of CrossFit, so I got really into strength training. And I was doing that for a few years. And then I was pregnant with my second, and I realized I had no idea kind of what I should or shouldn't be doing. And at the time, kind of people around me didn't really know either, and it was just kind of a mystery. So I did a deep dive online. I kind of researched a lot and tried to figure out. I came across a couple of people in the field like Brianna Battles, who were navigating this whole area of like strength training, pre and postnatal athleticism, and just fitness in general. And like because there was these spectrums of like doing it all no matter what, and then you shouldn't do anything. So there was like these two extremes. So I just did this. I just went down this rabbit hole of postnatal fitness, and after I had Levi, my son, my second, I developed prolapses, I had diastasis recti, I had like almost every like I had hernia after Molly, so I like ticked almost all the boxes of all these like things that could happen postnatally, and I just I just loved the whole area. Like I just was like, okay, I have this, I have a prolapse, I have a diastasis. What can I do to get back to doing what I want to do?
Yeah.
Um, and that's when I took a course by a woman, Jessie Mundell, who's amazing. And I became a postnatal fitness specialist before I ever did my personal training course. And so I couldn't actually coach anyone until I did a
Mm.
personal training course, but I just loved the area so much I took the course anyway. And I met my friend Maggie, um, who I work with now in her gym, Simple Strength. And so it kind of changed the whole, all the like the postnatal stuff really changed the whole trajectory of my life, which is
Yeah.
very, it sounds really dramatic, but it did. Like I changed my career,
Mm.
um, and I guess, yeah, I just, I guess there's one thing I think I would love this to be included in our care postnatally in Ireland, and I think it is in Australia, but I could be wrong, is a visit to a post or a pelvic floor physio after birth
Yeah.
as a standard like facet of the care, because it's just so helpful to have a baseline of how you're doing, like how your pelvic floor, your core, how to best progress with your rehab in that area. And yeah, like I only knew because I guess I was just super interested in the area before I ever had developed all the postnatal things that happened to me. And but yeah, I'd love to see that in Ireland. But it is like if you have the means to do it, I would say to all um anyone postnatal to avail of an appointment with a pelvic floor physio. Um Regardless of whether you're into fitness or not. It's just so empowering to know how you're feeling and how you're healing, and if you don't feel that something if you feel like something is not right, that you can do something about it. And there's
Yeah.
these, wonderful physios who will help you. And yeah, I just think that's a big piece of, postnatal support, is that like if you are walking around and you're incontinent, or you feel like you're falling out, or if your cord just doesn't feel right, that actually there's someone who can help you with this. You don't have to just put up with it. um but yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that was really nice to hear a bit of your story with
Yeah,
that because I actually didn't fully, yeah, know how you came into the postnatal specialist support. So that
yeah,
was really interesting to hear, and it is like it definitely for myself as well. Like I had just kind of regular kind of gym attendance. Like, I don't know if there was much to it before I was pregnant. When I was pregnant, didn't do anything. And I say Ava was like 2 before I went back to anything that wasn't just walking. And it's just like I didn't know where to look, or maybe didn't feel like I had it in me to do anything movement based. And definitely didn't see anything around me that was postnatal specific that would have given me the likes of like seeing your class pop up or a mum baby yoga. Like there was nothing like that around me that I was going to be like, oh, like yeah, I could join that. So
Yeah.
for me, it just didn't feel like there was an opportunity for me to go anything that was relevant
Yeah.
until I was in New Zealand and I started going to like it was like a mum class in the morning. It was like a fitness class, and you could bring the kids with you, and then not just
Yeah.
babies. Like they had like kind of a little pen in the middle of the room that
So
the
toddlers and everything.
yeah.
That's
So there was
nice.
like
Yeah.
toddlers and
Yeah.
babies, and that was my first kind of getting back into movement. But like
Mm.
it wasn't until like a few years later when I got into MMA that like I actually realized that like again it was just like this really like pivotal moment of being like, oh, like this isn't normal that like I'm having leaking, and like
Mm-hmm.
being like terrified that I was going to like pee myself in front of a
Yeah.
crowd of people while I was having like an MMA fight, like my first
Yeah.
fight. I was like, here being like, oh my God, like I could pee myself in front of everybody right now.
Yeah.
And like that was that moment of
Yeah.
being like, oh, this couldn't be normal. But like got a referral through the doctor and it got lost in the system and I never got like any support
Yeah.
until I became more aware of my body, of my womb, of my cycle and everything like that and started looking at birth that I realized an actual private pelvic health specialist was a thing to go get checked, and that was when I was living in Dublin. So I went to
Yeah.
somebody to Laura, and that
Oh
was like
yeah.
a game changer
Yeah.
for me to be able
Yeah.
to receive that support. And like that was like 8 years, like Ava was 8 years old before I got any support. So like
Yeah.
it's always like I say to people, go to a pelvic health specialist in
Oh yeah. At
pregnancy,
any
like
stage. Yeah. Yeah.
preventive stuff, go
Yeah.
postpartum, and if it's years
Yeah.
later, like go, because again
Still
it
go.
changes
Yeah.
the way you live, or if you like want to go back to exercise or even just
Yeah.
doing the normal things. That you don't
Yeah.
feel like you sneeze in your to yourself, or it's
Yeah.
just the basic level of
Just
care. And
like
I
the
think
baseline of like feeling good and not having to think about that on top of
yeah,
all the other things I have to think about, that to not have to worry about incontinence. Yeah, and just it gives you such a much better understanding of your body, I
yeah,
think, which can
sure.
be really empowering. So, but yeah, that's so interesting. I love your MMA background. Yeah, it's lovely.
It feels like another life. It's like so
Yeah,
completely like different to where I'm at now. And
yeah,
but it's like when I look back at it and like the journey, I suppose, like of even me coming into yoga kind of came
mm,
through that lens of me getting back into I suppose figuring out myself and like
yeah,
yeah, like who is Nicole. And yeah, I suppose that led me towards yoga as well. So yeah, the MMA and the jiu-jitsu was a big part of that journey for me, even though it seems like it's so like far afield, like a completely different thing. But for me,
yeah.
it's like quite
It's still part of it. Yeah,
into my journey,
yeah.
which is really interesting.
Yeah,
What time are we? Are you okay? Do you need to?
we have about 5-ish minutes. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. I did want to ask, like in your classes, do you kind of have a mixture of people that have had, like that have had kind of pelvic health issues, or people that are just like you're the first kind of protocol that they're coming into, or what kind of?
Yeah, I would say it depends. Like you see people who are from all backgrounds, all of that, all kinds of birth experiences, different pelvic floor issues, and some with none at all, and some starting movement for the first time, starting strength training for the first time ever, which is really fun. Um, and then people who are looking to get back to sport, to specific things like running, CrossFit, high rocks, lifting, whatever. Um, So yeah, it's also interesting because it's so individual. Like you can't be too prescriptive with it, and I think that's why I love it because it's just a constant conversation,
Mm,
between yourself and the person looking to learn something new or get back to doing something without worrying about like leaking or prolapses or that kind of thing. So yeah, it really varies. Anyone at any stage, and you can be like as many years postnatal as well. Like there is an opportunity for babies to be there too. So it's not just like it's not mum and baby class where the babies are fitting in. They're very it's a very baby led environment because sometimes babies cry and they don't want you to work out, and that's fine.
yeah. Yeah,
So um
that's what I say about the mom and baby yoga class that I teach. It's the same thing. It's like babies are kind of like in the lead of like how little you get to do of like
yeah,
that day, but like often like
yeah,
the getting out of the house and getting there and even just like getting a little bit of movement or a
yeah,
little bit of rest in the case of the yoga and like getting to chat to other like
yeah,
parents and different stages. I think like even that part is such like yeah, like a big part of
yeah.
that support system of just being like having somewhere each week to go
To
to
be and like to go, and yeah, and I think like it's back to that community aspect again, isn't it?
Mhm.
That's you're facilitating that as much as anything else, really.
Yeah, and that like
So it's lovely.
reconnection with yourself, like that like figuring, I think as you said earlier, like figuring out like that new version of yourself,
Yeah,
which is like part, the version of you before you became a parent and became a parent again, and like
yeah,
part of like new growing version that's like growing alongside your
mm,
baby or your child, and you're like reconnecting with that. And I think the likes of the classes that you hold, that like connecting with that strength and like starting to feel that kind of yeah, connection with your body again,
yeah,
through movement
yeah.
and I suppose body awareness, actually
Body
feeling
awareness,
into
really. Yeah,
what is
yeah,
happening is key to just, I suppose, feeling powerful in that
yeah,
new version of yourself and getting to know you again, or for the first
yeah.
time.
That's it. Yeah, and just feeling like I love when people say, "Oh, I did this," and I felt a bit more like I just felt really good. Like they went for a run for the first time after having a baby, and they felt good, or they found it easier to do something at home, like
Yeah.
easier to lift something, easier to lift their kids. So that was it's very it's lovely when you hear that. That's like the best feedback you can get.
Yeah,
So
it is. It's
yeah,
just like the basic needs and everything else then on top of that,
yeah,
like
yeah,
extras, but like deserved extras. You
yeah.
shouldn't be just trying to meet your basic. It should be
Yeah, you should have,
a little bit more and beyond.
you want all mothers to have all of the support when they need it as much
Yeah.
as they can.
Yeah, I
So,
just before we kind of head
mm,
off, I'd love to just bring in the closing of the bone
mm,
ceremony, because I did this with
yeah,
yourself, and I suppose it's kind of like what we've been speaking about whole through this conversation of like it doesn't need to be like immediately postnatal that you do
mm,
things.
yeah,
I think we both shared this, that it, like some of the things postnatal supports that we've gone towards have been like months or years later in
many years
different
later.
areas.
Yeah,
The closing
yeah,
of the month is something that we did a couple of months ago, and
yeah,
like a few years later, I'd love, yeah, how did you find that in
yeah,
regards to honoring yourself and your postpartum?
yeah. I think that's so when we did the closing of the bones, that was July, I think, and that would have been 5 years postnatal for me after my youngest baby. And I was thinking today, like, what was it about that that was so nice? And I think it was a very comforting kind of thing. And I think especially if you've gone through something, an experience postnatally or in pregnancy or during birth that wasn't what you wanted,
Yeah,
that it felt like it was still honoring you, your experience yourself as a mother, even if things didn't go to plan.
Mm.
Like you're still, and I don't know how to put words on it because I really tried earlier. It's like, how can I describe this? But I think it's like you're still honoring the experience, even though it wasn't necessarily what the one you wanted it to be,
Yeah.
like your birth. And I think that's kind of what made it special in that it kind of closed a chapter. It kind of
Mm.
drew a line under something,
Yeah.
and um, it was very grounding. Like the wrapping, you're better at describing this, Nicole, but
Yeah.
like all the wrapping of the blankets and everything like that. Like I just felt it was a way of honoring an experience, the kind of everything about it, the good, the bads, a transition. But yeah, it's just very powerful, and I think you can do that 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later. You know, I'd say if my mom had done it, she'd still find it to be powerful, and she's 64. You know, so
Yeah.
I think it's something a mother can do at any stage, and it's just a lovely thing to do. And I did it with a friend as well, so that was really special
Yeah.
because we knew each other before we had kids. And I was thinking, yeah, like that's God, look at us now, like 6 kids between us, you know. So
Yeah, that was really beautiful to be able to
yeah,
hold that for both of you, like
yeah,
separately from yourselves, honoring like
yeah,
your journeys each, and then kind of honoring your journey together.
yeah,
That was really, yeah, really special and really powerful
yeah,
to hold. And it is like the closing of the bones for those that don't know. It is that, I suppose, honoring that rite of passage, that transition from you before you had your baby and to you now becoming a parent or becoming a mother. And it can also be done in different ways of like ends of different journeys, be it like end of a job or after loss, or it
hmm,
can be done in different senses. But for this, it is that was that honoring of that transition to mother or mother again,
hmm,
and honoring the journey of that and that wrapping of the rebozos, the gorgeous Mexican shawls, like around your body to kind of like wrapping you, kind of like you're in the womb and in that like cocoon
yeah,
of like your physical body and like your energetic body, just kind of bringing you back into yourself. And as you've said there, like reminding you that your journey, no matter how it looked, it was a journey worth honoring, and that you are worth honoring in that. I think
yeah,
is really important, no matter how you do or like describe your pregnancy or your birth or your postpartum to be positive or difficult or somewhere in between. That it's all journeys and all experiences are 100% worth honoring,
or worth
and
honoring. That's
where the
it. Yeah,
experiences, like none of them are failures or
yeah,
wrong. They're yours, and they like, and you deserve acknowledgement in that, no matter how it
yeah.
looks.
See,
Yeah.
it's perfect. See, that's exactly what I wanted to say.
We summed it up in the
We
end.
summed it up. Yeah.
Thank you
No,
so much
that's
for
that's
coming
exactly
on
it. Yeah,
and
no
doing this
bother at
with
all.
me. Let people know where in Ireland you are based and where they can find
Yes,
you.
I am in Maynooth. I am in North Kildare, so I work in Simple Strength Leixlip over in Leixlip, which is like 10 minutes away from here. I teach yoga classes in Leixlip as well in the community space, and I'm hoping to do online classes in 2026 as well.
Amazing.
And I'll be teaching mother and baby yoga and gentle strength in Yoga studio where we first worked together.
Yeah, amazing.
Yes.
And where do you provide the breastfeeding counselor with you?
Oh,
What
yeah.
kind
So
of
I host a group in Maynooth in Shoda Cafe every month usually, and then my branch also has groups in Leixlip Library and Lucan Library, and we're always available on the phone. You can text us either. So we have a list. If you go to quidgy.ie, and then you'll see find a breastfeeding counselor, and there's like a massive list of like everyone's number nationally. You don't have to ring somebody near you. You can just ring anyone, work through it alphabetically.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah. So,
amazing.
and you can find me on Instagram. So
Yeah, I'll try save
always.
it and
Yeah.
share it, and I'll invite you to be a collaborator on it so people can find there. Yeah, thank you so much for hopping on and having
Thank
the call.
you.
And I know
Yeah.
we're further away from each other, and I moved to Roscommon, but it's nice to be able to have this conversation, and very exciting that you're going to be bringing some classes online. I didn't know that.
I know. Well, I keep trying to say it, so I actually do it. So I'm
You
just
do
trying to
it,
give
I
myself, yeah, I'm giving
know.
myself a little kick up the bum.
I may have
So
heard like banging and stuff here, like the guys are doing the door on the garage here, and I'm like, once the garage is like, bitted out and we like, renovated a little bit, I was like, I'm going to be able to record some online classes in there, but we'll see. Again, it's
yes, you
like,
will.
it'll happen eventually.
It will. I'm like, all in good time. It will happen. So brilliant,
Oh,
Nicole. Thank you so much.
thanks, Becca. Have a lovely
All
day.
right.